Sport Clips Haircuts Help a Hero program funds scholarships for U.S. veterans who are pursuing a college degree or vocational certification. Visit your nearest Sport Clips to learn more and donate now through November 11th.
This morning I did something I haven't done in a long time. When Golic and I first saw each other this morning in the makeup room over there, I said, don't say a word. I don't want to know your thoughts on the hit that knocked out Joe Flacco last night, figuratively and almost literally, until we are on the air. So I'm going to get it right now, along with everybody else. For the first time, Golic, here is the question of the morning. Was that or was that not a dirty play by Kiko Alonso?
No, it wasn't a dirty play. It was a bang-bang play. It was a late play. He's going to get fined for it, no doubt about it. We'll have to wait
Suspended?
and see if he gets suspended. That I don't know. Listen, where we are in the NFL, I'll get into that. I think where we are in the NFL, if they want this type of thing, though we sit there and say to stop, and I know we're going to get into it more. I go back to the Aaron Rodgers. Could that have been avoided? Go to the Carson Palmer. Could the Carson Palmer have been avoided? I know you talked about it. I get what you're saying. Do we need to protect quarterbacks more? But how? This was a play, if you watch the play, and what everybody's going to do is run it in slow motion, freeze frame it. You can't do that. Because now they'll do that to decide what the penalty and such afterward. But during the game, man, it's bang, bang. You got to understand it was a first down. And while we all see the yellow line, the players don't see the yellow line. The players know where the first down mark is. They know where they have to go. Mm-hmm. And Joe Flacco knew he had to get to the 10-yard line for the first down. So I could easily see what was happening. Joe's running. Joe sees Kiko Alonso. Joe is gauging, can I make it to the first down or not? And Kiko's knows where the first down is, and is like, I want to stop him from getting a first down. So they were going to meet. It was just how they were going to meet. Joe Flacco, at the last second, I think, I don't know for sure, and, maybe at some point he'll say, at the last second he thought, I'm not going to make it. So he tried to get down, or he thought he was right there by making it. He would have been short, because when you slide feet first, it goes back a little bit. But in watching it, I thought, he didn't think at the last second he was going to make it, so he tried to get down. So he started to slide a little late than you normally would slide. Kiko Alonso was already taking off to hit him, and what happened. So do I think it was a dirty play? No. There's a line there of how much do you give a quarterback. If he's into his feet first slide, you can't hit him. And you even heard C.J. Mosley from the Ravens, the other team, say in those situations, what you do when you know the quarterback's going to slide, you take off for his head, knowing full well if he slides, you'll just go right over the top of him. And this was a late slide, in my opinion, by Flacco. Because of the first down marker, he tried to get it, thought he wasn't going to get it. At the last second, started to go down, and Alonso was already taken off. Now, the penalty was right. You can't do it. At the end of the day, the defender ends up being responsible. You know my thought on some of that. But where we are in the game today, he'll be fined. We'll see if he gets suspended. But I'm not going to sit here and say that was a dirty play, that no matter what, that he was taking off, that he knew he was quarterback was going to slide, and he's saying, I'm going to get a headshot on this guy. No way I would say that.
It was a penalty. Were you surprised he wasn't thrown out of the game?
No. Because I really think if you're a referee in that, you have to decide. Now, throwing someone out of the game, you have to decide. Now, did the referee think about all the things that I just thought about? Now, I thought about all that in real time. Mm-hmm. So maybe the ref did as well. There's the first down. Everybody knows where the first down is. He's trying to get the first down. Did he slide late? Now, the ref sees the quarterback get hit in the head. He's going to throw the flag. Right away, you're going to throw the flag. So, to me, I didn't think it was ejectable. I didn't think it was one of those. Remember, it's got to be egregious, like going, oh, my God, I can't believe he did that. If you watch that play as a football play, it was very close to just what I keep saying, and I'll keep saying it all morning. So, no, I don't think it was a dirty play. In today's game, you're going to get penalized, and you may get suspended, and we go from there.
Well, it was the perfect storm, because it looks, as you watch it in slow motion, like he kind of loads up for his head, right? He hits him directly in the side of the head. The helmet goes flying off, so it's a terrible look. And Flacco comes up looking like he doesn't know what day of the week it is.
No doubt about it.
And he's got the blood coming out of his ear and everything else. Let me read you the rule. The rule is as follows. Defenders are required to treat a sliding runner as they would a runner who is down by contact.
Right.
A defender must pull up when a runner begins a feet-first slide.
Right.
This does not mean that all contact by a defender is illegal. If a defender has already committed himself and the contact is unavoidable, it is not a foul unless the defender makes forcible contact into the head or neck area of the runner with the helmet, shoulder, or forearm, or commits some other act that is unnecessary roughness. Well, he clearly did that.
That's it right there. I do think that part that you read, that the defender was already committed, but he got him in the head. So he was already committed, so it wasn't the egregious you're tossed out of the game thing, but it was a penalty in today's game. That's what I think.
How is Flacco? That's obviously the first question that you have coming out. Oh, by the way, the game was 40-0. But there were two incidents in it that people were talking a lot about if you didn't watch it last night, and this was overwhelmingly the first one. So here's Coach John Harbaugh on how Flacco is doing.
Joe had a concussion. And a cut ear. His ear was cut from like in here all the way down to his earlobes. They were stitching that up without any anesthesia, so he was a tough dude at halftime, and that's as much as I know about it.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's going to be in that concussion protocol. Didn't even come out of the locker room after halftime. So we'll see where that goes. He looked completely dazed and confused, which isn't shocking. He took a shot right to the head. So that will be the question. It's a guy that's only missed, 6 games, I think, in his career. It was an ACL, MCL years ago that he had. Other than that, he hasn't missed any time. He's been very, very durable, no doubt about that. So we'll see if this one costs him any time or not.
And then as far as the hit is concerned, John Harbaugh didn't have a lot to say about that.
Are you okay? That wasn't a clean hit, was it?
I'm not commenting on that. Yeah, it was. I was penalized correctly, I would say.
You feel like the injection was?
It's not for me to say. But thanks for asking. Absolutely, no question. No question. It's a fair question. Put it that way.
Sorry, John. He wasn't going down that road, but you saw on the field he wanted to get to Kiko Alonso. I mean, they were John. Listen, everything that happened after that play is almost textbook what goes on. I think it's Kylie Jensen. No, I'm sorry, Ryan Jensen. Ryan Jensen, the center. He did exactly what you should do. He tried to drop Kiko Alonso. He hit him, and then he was on the ground. He tried to bury him. And then you do as a defender what you should do when you see a guy like that hit one of your defenders. And Ndamukong Suh and others came over, and they hit Jensen and knocked him down. I mean, everything happened how it was going to happen there. And there's, unfortunately, Joe Flacco sitting there with no helmet on, looking like he doesn't know where he is. And that's the worst part of this whole thing. In what was an ugly game offensively. We knew these were two bad offenses. It was an ugly game. Matt Moore throws 2 pick sixes. It wasn't even a competitive game, but this is going to obviously be the headline and certainly going forward for a team for the Baltimore Ravens at the availability of their quarterback.
Yeah, when you have the Thursday night standalone game and the quarterback's helmet goes flying off and he's obviously looking like he doesn't know what's going on, that's obviously that's just a terrible look.
And they have extra
for the
time
NFL.
now. I mean, you do have the 10 days now, so we don't know the severity, we don't know the degree, we don't know any of that right now. He looked pretty dazed, but we don't know. So let's wait and hear and let's see the time frame to recover.
Going back, you're right. I can't sit here and say that it's a dirty play.
Yeah.
And the single biggest defense, if you want to make one, of Kiko Alonso is exactly what you said. Flacco slides so late. There is actually even something in the rule. I just read you part of the rule. I didn't read all of it. There is something in the rule about how if the runner wants to take advantage of that protection, he has to slide early enough to give it. Here it is. A runner who wishes to take advantage of this protection is responsible for starting his slide before contact by a player is imminent. If he does not and waits until the last moment to begin his slide, he puts himself in jeopardy of being contacted. So if Alonso hits him, I believe Alonso is justified in hitting him. Mm-hmm. But just the way it looks, the forearm to the head, it looks intentional. Now, that doesn't mean that it is intentional because, I get it. These guys are flying. They're running
flying,
as fast as they can.
When you slide, where are you going to hit? I mean, that's the part of the body that's kind of off the ground. The chest, neck, head area, that's the part that's going to get hit.
Right.
And most times when you see this penalty, that's exactly where the quarterback sliding gets hit because the rest of his body's sliding on the ground. So normally it's his head that gets hit. So
it's just a bad-looking play, unfortunately. And Flacco goes out, and it is part of a – so to conclude, you believe the penalty was appropriate.
Penalty was
certainly.
appropriate.
A fine?
I would not have thrown him out of the game for that
fine
at all. Oh, he's going to be fine.
I'm making you but you're the person.
Yeah.
You're the arbiter of this. You're in the office.
Yeah.
You're Troy Vincent. It isn't Troy Vincent, but whoever it is that hears these things.
He's going to be fined. As far as a suspension, I would not suspend him, but What I'm going to say is we're talking about more and more protection. You asked it. How do you protect the quarterback even more? I don't think you can change any more rules because you can barely do anything to them now. So what you have to change if you really want to do this is the punishment for breaking those rules. So not only a fine, Kiko Alonso can afford fine, but if you take him off the field, that really can cost you and your team. So I wouldn't, but then again, I'm a little hard-headed that way. But understanding where the game is now and that they can't do much more to protect the quarterback on the field, maybe this would be a way to say, in all honesty, the guys at the office, because the guys deciding this at the office are former players. Remember that. They're former players. And I think if they suspend them, they're going to suspend Kiko Alonso and not feel good about it. That's my opinion. They're old. They're players who played a little bit in the past. And they're going to suspend him and go, you know what? Don't think he should be suspended, but in today's game with the message that the league wants to send to the protection of the players, that we're going to suspend him here. That's my guess. That's if he gets suspended.
Well, I'll read you some of the Twitter reaction yesterday from a variety of different people. Dominique Foxworth, our colleague, tweeted, if you think Kiko should have been ejected, you're reacting to the result.
Yeah.
The action warrants a flag, and that could be debated. Hashtag TNF. So he was strongly on that side. Ross Tucker tweeted, how is he not kicked out? If that's only a 15-yard penalty, then what is there to disincentivize players from knocking quarterbacks out like that?
Well, listen, as I just answered, if he's in a full slide and then Kiko hits him in the head, so be it. You know, listen, I follow Ross Tucker. I know I like the stuff Ross Tucker does, but, you know, he slid late. He slid late, and Kiko was taken off. You read the rule. It's almost textbook what the rule book says. He slid late, so he kind of gave up his right, but Kiko still hit him in the head, which deserves a flag, but not an ejection.
And I you know what? I was listening to Mikey this morning, and he quoted someone, I forget who now, and so I can't find it, and I apologize, I can't remember it, as saying, when I played, they called that football.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who he said that. But that, Mikey obviously had seen that on Twitter somewhere.
Sure. But the rule changed.
And so it's changed. But
yes.
the point is, the rule changed on what is legal and not legal, but it has not changed on what's dirty and not dirty.
Right.
So clearly, if it was football once, it isn't dirty now. It doesn't go from football to dirty. It goes from football to against the rules.
Against the rules. That's exactly right.
So I think that's going to be the official position here, and I'm not surprised. It was appropriate to be called a penalty. It will be fined because that's the world we live in now. If Kiko Alonso is suspended, you will disagree with it. Is that the official position?
I would not want the suspension, but I'll say in today's game with how they're trying to protect the quarterback, it wouldn't surprise me that if they threw a suspension in there to really try. Because what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do with the fine and the suspension?
Stop it from happening.
It's exactly right.
Keep quarterbacks healthy, ultimately.
Fine. Listen, no, Kiko Alonso, and I don't know where he is in the giving up money phase of his career. I don't know if he's got fined before because a lot of it's based on that, how much he's going to lose, how much can they up it. Is this a $12,000? Is this a $48,000? I don't know. It's no fun losing money. It's even worse than losing games where then you can lose money as well. So if the league feels, hey, we need to overstep this so guys really think about this on the field, then we need to take it this far. I would not agree with a suspension, but it wouldn't shock me if there is one.
All right, so that certainly was the top story coming out of the sports world last night. Let's go off the top. Oh, by the way, as I mentioned, the game was 40-0. The Ravens beat the Dolphins by a 40-0 score, their largest shutout win in franchise history. Mike, this was a pretty terrible game.
Yeah, it was an awful game, without question. This was the thing everybody's going to talk about because there's no game to talk about. As I said, these were two horrible, horrible offenses, and it showed with the Miami Dolphins under 200 yards of total offense and the Baltimore Ravens under 300 yards of total offense. It was ugly. 2 pick sixes. So the offense, 40-0, 12 of those points coming on defensive touchdowns. There's not a whole lot to say about this game. And we've been getting good Thursday night games. For all the complaining people I've done, I've not been one of them, by the way, that said, oh, my God, Thursday night games, how could we have them? They're so unsafe. They've been horrible games. They've been good games this year so far.
Yeah.
This was an ugly one. But going into it, you knew they were the two worst offenses, but, you didn't see 40. I don't know if you saw 40-0 coming here.
And unfortunately, what it also did was it ended my dreams of being a talent evaluator. with all of my talk about Matt Moore and how great he is and how he's going to take over that job and he's going to take it away from Cutler and he looked so good last week. How bad must the Jet defense be if he went through them like they were Swiss cheese and last night he put up a goose egg against the Ravens?
He completed 25 of 44 passes for 176 yards, 2 pick sixes. It was not pretty, and I wonder at some point, maybe at the end of that game, if Adam Gase walked over to Jay Cutler and said, How the ribs?
How
the ribs? What do we think?
Yeah. McShay's job is safe. Greeny was not exactly on the money with that assessment. All right, DeMarcus Cousins, welcome back to Sacramento. He went back to where he played for so many years for the Kings as a Pelican, and he took over the game.
You kidding me? Became the first player in NBA history with 40 points, 20 rebounds, and 5 assists in a game against a former team. He scored 41, 23, and 6. The first player with 40 points, 20 rebounds, and 5 assists in a game since Chris Webber did it in 2000, 2001. And by the way, Webber called the game last night on TNT. First player in the last 35 seasons to go 40 points, 20 rebounds, 5 assists in a road game. And the last 3 players, how about this, taking the assists out of it, the last 3 players with 40 points and 20 rebounds, all of them went to Kentucky.
So Anthony Davis is one of them?
Cousins, and a guy we love now, a young player, great Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah. How about that?
40 points,
21 rebounds. Yeah, pretty impressive.
Remarkable night, for DeMarcus Cousins going back home. Game 3 of the World Series tonight. You'll hear every pitch on ESPN Radio. Astros and Dodgers even at a game apiece.
So is 7 the lucky number? Whether consecutive or not, every team to win 7 home games in a single postseason also went on to win the World Series. Houston has won 6 home games in a row. This would be 7 tonight. That would be the going on to do it. As I said, have gone on to win the World Series when you've done this. So we'll see if they can do that one tonight. And how about the home run wise? After setting a single season regular season record in 2017, this postseason is on to possibly setting a playoff record. There have been 90 home runs during this postseason, fourth most in a single playoff. They got to get to 100. 2004, 10 more with the games that are left. I got to believe they can do that.
Well,
when you hit 8 in a game, that certainly can get you there.
Right.
Off the top.
It probably will. And then our final story, Joe Girardi will not return as manager of the Yankees this coming season after the most successful tenure of his time. He won more games during his 10 years as manager of the Yankees than anyone else won. No team won more games during that stretch, but the Yankees decided it was time for a change.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into this one. Joe Madden, the only manager with more regular season wins than Girardi since 2008. Regular season, 919 for Madden, 910 for Girardi. Girardi's the 6th all-time among Yankees manager in wins, but only won a single World Series title, something the 5 other managers ahead of him all did multiple times. And then get this one. There's a first out of all this offseason. It's the first time that 3 playoff teams changed managers in the same offseason. Yankees, Red Sox, Nationals. All changed managers.
Yeah, and so there's not a whole lot of job stability in that sport, and that is what everyone's talking about. It's Off the Top. It's presented by Progressive Insurance. Now you can test drive Snapshot even if you have insurance with another company. See how much you can save before you switch. I wanted to play you Teixeira on Girardi because, Joe is someone that we know and that we like, and I was sorry to see this happen yesterday. Buster, when he came on with us recently, suggested that he thought it would be Girardi's decision not to come back. Mm-hmm. At least the way it was positioned in their statements yesterday, it was made clear the Yankees didn't want him back. And Joe made it sound like he desperately wanted to be back. Yeah. Now, that's easy to say after they've told you they don't want you back. Maybe he didn't really want to come back as badly as he made it sound like. One way or another, Mark Teixeira, who played for Girardi for years and now, of course, does terrific work as an analyst for us at ESPN, had these thoughts on Girardi.
I think managers today are really they need to be a reflection of the front office and not necessarily be their own guy. And I think with Joe Girardi, this is not a surprise because you look at, Joe's an intense guy.
Yep.
He's a little tight. Yep. And I think sometimes when you have a young, talented team like the Yankees are going to have now for a long time, you want to see a manager that's maybe a little bit looser, can maybe communicate a little bit better with his players. And what made Joe great, Joe's a really good manager. He's a good man, but he's also so intense that sometimes that rubs the front office the wrong way and it rubs the players the wrong way.
So I think a lot of it is a feel of where we are. So Joe Girardi can manage again. Now, will he go to a team maybe that's an older team? This is a younger team, just what Teixeira said. And Teixeira's going to know a whole lot about, that dugout, no doubt about it. Do managers in baseball now need to be in lockstep with management and the numbers thing? Like a Dave Roberts or an A.J. Hinch, if you say they're in lockstep there with those numbers type of game plan.
And Girardi is that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Girardi is a numbers guy for sure.
But as Tech said, a little intense, and you got a really young, talented roster here, so maybe the fit just isn't right. And 10 years, we've had, what was it, Marty Schottenheimer, one of the
Chuck
coaches.
Daly was the first one I remember saying.
And then we heard it as well from Marty Schottenheimer, said 10 years, it just, maybe it's just time for a change. And I think the perfect storm here of the analytics, the intenseness of Girardi, the young age of this team, then maybe it was time to make a move.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see where they go, and I'll be interested to see what he decides to do. And I'll remind you, the road to the World Series goes right through us at ESPN Radio. You can hear all the action presented by AutoZone on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and the ESPN app. We are just getting rolling here on Mike and Mike, a very busy Friday with plenty of football and more. We're presented by Progressive Insurance, our guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And coming up, we will explain why this coming March may be the most important month that football has had in a really long time.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
As a Marine serving in Afghanistan, I conducted logistics patrols in some of the world's most dangerous places.
The Sport Clips Help a Hero Scholarship Program helps military veterans like Jacob Dietz transition into civilian life.
The Sport Clips Help a Hero Scholarship is helping me get a degree in electrical engineering.
You can donate to Help a Hero at all participating Sport Clips locations. And on Veterans Day, November 11th, Sport Clips will donate $1 for every cut. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
Twitter through the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Alan Funk tweets, BS Golic. Alonso was headhunting. You could see him adjust for the maximum effect. It was like perfect hit on Antonio Brown.
Listen, Alan, you can have your opinion all you want. That's fine. Now, you have your opinion. I have my opinion. I'm going to stick with mine. I mean, you want to think that's fine.
40-year-old Pats fan tweets, Alonso ducks his head just before he makes contact with his shoulder, protects himself, but no regard for Flacco, eject him.
Since when are you supposed to have regard for the person you're tackling, by the way?
You're not supposed to hit him in the head.
Well, you're not supposed to hit him. As I said, show me one sliding quarterback where you see a flag where he doesn't get hit in the head. That's basically all that's available to hit. And Joe Flacco, in my opinion, slid late. So some of that's on him, and it says it right in the rules as well. It's actually part of the rules that are written that you get the protection of sliding, but if you slide late, you lose that protection. Now, you still can't get hit in the head, and so that's why the flag is justified. But sorry, you got to understand the play. He was looking to go. This is one of those you could, in a split second, 100 things can go through your mind. I'm telling you, he knew where the first down was. Alonso knew where the first down was. You saw Flacco look up at one point. He saw Alonso, and he knew where he had to get for the first down. And at the last second, I think he felt, I'm not going to make it, and I'm going to try and get down, so I'm going to start to slide, and Alonso has already taken off.
One Love tweets, watching hits like that one in slow motion makes it look worse, or like there's more intent than possibly intended. You made that point right off the top of the show.
Yeah.
It's a play that they will watch in slow motion. You do watch in slow motion, but the game isn't played in slow motion. And as a consequence, you can assign a lot of things to intention based upon the amount of time it takes to happen in slow motion.
Right.
But they're doing it in real time.
Yes, they are.
And that's the other thing. You just said a million things can go through your mind. But I've always thought to myself, does anything go through your mind? Like, I've always thought you guys practice so much so that you can just react instinctually and not actually think. Like, he's not thinking to himself, there's the first down, he's going to slide, I got to pull up, right? He's just going 100 miles an hour.
He's going, and I'm telling you what is can I make the first down?
No, I'm talking about Alonso now. Forget about Flacco.
Oh, Alonso.
He's just running as fast as he can. He's going to hit him, and Flacco slides so late that Alonso can't stop him.
Yeah, but Alonso knows where the first down marker is as well. But yes, Alonso's going going there with the intent of hitting him, which you do as a defender. You can't just tiptoe up there and hope he slides, because some guys will try and slide head first to get that first down. You slide head first, you get no protection. You get hit. But and you didn't know, was Flacco going to dive forward to try and get the first down on that one? Is Kiko just supposed to start to let up? No. You go with the full intent to hit somebody. And if he starts to slide at the appropriate time, and it's still tough to do, you have to. C.J. Mosley, Flacco's own teammate, said in those cases, and he's a linebacker as well, he said, for a play like that, he said, when I know a quarterback is in the middle of the field and probably going to slide, I'm going to take off aiming at his head, knowing full well if he slides, I should fly right over the top of him. So if Kiko Alonso did that, the slide was so late that he was still contacted with his head. I'm not saying it wasn't flag worthy, but I'm also saying it wasn't dirty. And I didn't think it deserved an ejection, and we'll see if it gets a suspension or not.
I have that. Do you want to play the C.J. Mosley
song? Sure, yeah.
All right, let's play it. So I'm told that we have it ready to go. Brooksy has it. So this was C.J. Mosley. Bear in mind, again, as you listen, this is Flacco's teammate, not Alonso's teammate. And he's a linebacker, and he's talking about the way they're taught to hit on a play like that. Here's C.J. Mosley.
When the quarterback slides, you want to aim for the head, because when he do slide, your trajectory is going to be over, going over where his head was at the initial play. But whether some people ask me, was it clean, was it dirty? It don't matter. At the end of the day, our quarterback went down, and the whole team took it personal. We was all right there on the sideline, and that's just how we are. We're a family. That's our quarterback, and that really set the tone for the rest of the game. It was a little chippy, going throughout that, but that's our type of football. That's what we do for 4 quarters. So hope he's okay and everything with him, but we're just looking out for our family.
Yeah, listen, after the play, everything that happened. You fight, you stick up for your guys, you try not to have your guy get, as Jensen that was trying to stand up for Flacco by knocking over Alonso, then he got jumped on. Everybody kind of jumps, and you do what you do at that point. But, again, Mosley, that's what he said. He talked about that play and then said, but at the end of the day, our quarterback got hurt, so, we hope he's okay. But, so I keep watching that play, and nothing's going to change in my view of that.
There was another play last night, just quickly here, by another Dolphins defender, this one with a reputation, of course, and that's Ndamukong Suh, on a play where he goes over the line of scrimmage, and the play is dead, and there's a little bit of shoving, and he winds up grabbing the quarterback, who at this point is Ryan Mallett, by the throat. It's brief, but he does grab him sort of by the throat, and it's one where people will take the still frame of that, and it looks like Suh is choking Ryan Mallett, if only for a moment. What did you make of that?
Nothing. Absolutely zero of that. But it's Suh, and he has a reputation. Well, not a reputation. We've seen him stomp people, so he grabbed someone by the throat. He grabbed him by the throat and pushed him away. That is nothing. There are guys that get up off the ground after a play if they don't like someone. They'll push up off somebody's throat. That's nothing. There was another play, another action on that play that was far worse. That even if you're watching on TV, you won't see it well. So I'll just describe it for you and for radio. William Haynes, a defensive lineman, in the scrum that was going on, reached into the face mask of the Baltimore Ravens offensive lineman Austin Howard and poked him in the eye. That is 1,000 times worse than that Ndamukong Suh supposed choke and push away. That, to me, is nothing. You reach inside a guy's face mask and poke him in the eye, and there were 2 penalties on it, actually 3 penalties on the play. Suh got a penalty, which was declined. They took the William Hayes penalty, who poked the guy, Austin Howard, in the eye. I saw that happen firsthand when we played Minnesota, or when I was with the Eagles, and Al Baker, Ron Heller was on his knees after playing. Al Baker just reached in and poked him right in the eye. I mean, I've never seen Buddy Ryan lose his mind more at halftime of when that happened, because that was apparent to everybody. It was horrible. I mean, and that, you want to talk about the damage that can cause?
That's a dirtier play.
That is 1,000 times. Those 2 things that you see, and you can't really see the eye poke, but the eye poke happened. The Suh thing is almost not even worth. If it wasn't Suh, it wouldn't be brought up. Quite honestly, that is nothing in the scheme of what went on in that play with the guy poking the other guy in the eye.
The one thing that I did find funny in Suh's quote, which I hadn't seen until right now, they just put it up on our screen. He said, "Mallett tried to attack me, and I'm protecting myself."
That is funny.
Ryan Mallett couldn't attack Ndamukong Suh in a meaningful way if you gave him an actual mallet. Ryan with a mallet is not a threat
right.
to Ndamukong
You're right.
Suh.
No, you're right.
Ndamukong Suh is like a county. I mean, have you ever been around? He's the biggest, strongest guy in the world.
Monster.
And Ryan Mallett is a big, strong quarterback.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's a big quarterback.
But I don't think Ndamukong Suh is afraid of being attacked by Ryan Mallett on the
would have
field.
steered clear of that line.
He tried to attack me, so I'm protecting myself.
Self-defense.
Anyway, so that was last night, and it's unfortunate. As you said, we've had some very good Thursday night games. The one with San Francisco and the Rams was very good. The one last week with the Chiefs and Raiders was one of the best games of the NFL season. Last night was horrendous.
Horrible.
You know that one of the most interesting things that came out of the game were these. It's a shame, but one way or another, the Ravens get the win and the Dolphins a love 40 loss. I will get next, I promise, to where I intended to go there, and that is this. The biggest month the NFL has in front of it is next March. And you will hear from Adam Schefter why that is.
With the Citi Double Cash Card, you get 1% cash back when you buy and 1% as you pay. That's like the joy of discovering the last donut.
Ooh.
And it has your name on it, literally, in chocolate sprinkly things.
No way.
Double the love with the Citi Double Cash Card. Apply now at Citi.com/doublecash.
Couple more tweets. Susan tweets at you, Golic, thanks for staying consistent. In my opinion, protect the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage. Past the line of scrimmage is fair game.
Fair game to a point. I get if a guy wants to give himself up. But again, I mean, you don't know all the time as a defender he's going to give himself up feet first or head first. Is there a first down in play? You know, so as you're running up to the quarterback, are you supposed to start slowing down? God forbid you start slowing down. There's another person that can still block you. You know, as you slow down, you don't know the intent of the quarterback. That's why the quarterback, if he's going to slide, the rule says slide. Let everybody know you're sliding. But you know what? If you're trying to get a couple extra yards to get that first down, so now your slide's a little late, tough. You know, I mean, that's the way it goes. You know, you can't have complete protection here if you start to slide too late. And I'll just keep repeating myself. He thought he could get the first down, judged, I think, at the end of it he couldn't, and tried to get down. And he got down late as Alonso was already going for his tackle.
Yeah, the more you have talked, the more in the 45 minutes that we've been on the air so far, you've convinced me. I came in here this morning ready to say that I thought that was a dirty play, but you've convinced me it's not. It's not a dirty play. He can't stop that. Does he give him a little oomph? That he maybe doesn't have to. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. It's not for me to say. It certainly looks like it in slow motion, but I recognize it's not played in slow motion. For whatever this is worth, and I'll just throw this into the mix, Alonso doesn't get up looking like he thinks he's about to be in a fight either. Like Alonso immediately, when he gets up, he's facing in the other direction. The guys who are running up behind to kill him are not in his line of sight. So Alonso first gets up, like he doesn't get up in a defensive posture.
Like, oh, I know I just did something bad. I got to get ready to take somebody
He just kind of looks like he thinks he made a regular play.
Right.
Now, that's not a perfect way to judge something, but when it does happen, that kind of bang, I think it does matter. One way or another, you've convinced me. Yeah. It's not a dirty play. It's a penalty. Yeah. It'll definitely be a fine. I wouldn't even be surprised in where we are now if it is a suspension.
That's going to be the interesting thing to me because, as I said, you can't do too much more on the field rule-wise to a quarterback. So if you make the penalties even tougher for things that are flagged, then maybe that helps somehow, some way. I don't know.
All right, you've swayed me. Mike, let's do some Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. This is Shefty in our studio yesterday, and we were talking about some of the different possibilities out there of quarterbacks, and Cousins, and Breeze is going to be a free agent, and all the kids that are going to be in the draft that a lot of people like. And as we were just sort of thinking it through, you'll hear Shefty musing on what is going to be a fascinating and league-changing offseason.
We are looking at an offseason that is going to be very unusual in the NFL. An offseason that I don't think we've seen in a very long time, if ever. Drew Brees' contract is up. He can't be franchised. Jimmy Garoppolo is scheduled to be a free agent. Kirk Cousins has been tagged twice and is scheduled to be a free agent. We've got a great draft class of quarterbacks. Sam Bradford's contract's up. Teddy Bridgewater's contract's up. There are all of a sudden all these quarterbacks that are appealing in different ways that are attractive.
Boy, that is true.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I just started writing down names as he was talking. Straight Talk Wireless nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. That's what I meant when I said that next March, which is when free agency is, it's actually March 12th through the 14th is the opening of that. I looked it up this morning as I was writing my open. is going to be a league reshaping period of time. Again, Breeze, Cousins, Garoppolo, Bradford, Bridgewater. and there will be others, plus Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, maybe Sam Darnold, Mason Rudolph, a lot of guys that people out there like. So you're talking about a lot of quarterbacks that could be moving around, and the biggest name, of course, is Drew Brees.
The biggest, without question, is Drew Brees. And it is interesting what we brought up yesterday, the fact that they're playing better. And if you think you're close and your defense is getting better, man, then you have to decide, okay, we're going to spend a lot of money here. It won't be a long contract because of his age, but there'll be a lot of money involved. Do you start over with another quarterback when you're closer? I mean, that's a decision right there to make, quite honestly. I mean, I guess that would be my thing. Wait a minute, we've taken a pretty nice step, and we'll see where they finish up. I mean, they could be in the playoffs this year, the way they're playing right now. So they get there, and you're like, okay, we're pretty good here. Let's not bring our quarterback back. Who are you getting? So that's an interesting older player. Where are we now? To money situation thing. We all think Kirk Cousins is going to be gone. Garoppolo is going to be a very interesting one because if he stays there, Tom Brady is on pace to do Tom Brady things still. Okay? So if Tom Brady does Tom Brady things this year, do we really think I know the history of Bill Belichick in getting rid of guys or trading them or moving on from them a year or two before. A, really you have to pay them, or B, maybe they're starting to wind down. Do we think that's going to happen with Tom Brady? I have said time and time again, I do not. As long as Brady has his Brady-type year, which he is having, you would agree with that, correct?
That he's having. He's the MVP of the league.
Which is a Brady-type year.
Yeah, of course.
Which he can do. So makes next year so interesting because Garoppolo's deal is up. So if Tom Brady is a starting quarterback next year and Jimmy Garoppolo is on the team next year, there's a good chance Jimmy Garoppolo will be making more money than Tom Brady.
Oh, I think it's a lock. I think if he's still there, it's a lock that he'll be making more money.
Which is just amazing.
I think they'll have to franchise him.
Just knowingly doing that. Preparing for your next guy is pretty. That's a really interesting.
That's a huge story. I mean, there's no question. A huge storyline will be what do the Patriots do with Garoppolo, because it is my belief that Bill decided Garoppolo is his quarterback of the future because he would have traded him last year. Bill is so shrewd. He can't trade him this offseason. He's a free agent. So if he was going to get something for this asset, and Garoppolo was and is a very valuable asset, he would have gotten a first-round pick for Garoppolo, I think, for sure. He would have traded him last year. So I don't think he's trading. Now he can't trade. He won't be able to trade him. I think he's decided he is my future. But you're exactly right. You're not going to dump Brady if Brady is playing at this level.
No, you're not.
So I think he does keep him. And it sets up a really interesting scenario if Garoppolo winds up getting franchised. If Brees does become a free agent, where does he go? I mean, there's a lot of different places where you look around and you say, if you upgrade the quarterback to the point of Brees, so you upgrade now someone to Hall of Fame level. Yeah. The first place everyone's going to look is Jacksonville. Now, let me ask you this. Bortles has had a lot of bad moments. He's had some good games. No chance? No chance he wins it over.
And me, no.
So you're moving on from him.
I'm moving on.
You're Doug Marrone. You're moving on.
Moving on.
All right. Well, then my first call is to Drew Brees. Right? I mean, depending on the money circumstance, and I don't know much about Jacksonville's cap space, but they have a lot of young players who are generally not expensive. That's the first call I make.
They've also spent a lot in free agency on some of those defensive players.
That's true.
A lot of money.
I think Julius Thomas cost them a lot of money, too, the tight end. But I don't know when those deals run out or anything like that. All I'll say is, if they can afford Drew Brees, that's the first play. I'm calling him, and I'm begging him.
Yeah, with that defense, man, you get that. You don't have to just rely on turning around and handing the ball off to Leonard Fournette.
But you can.
Game. But you can and then throw the ball in that defense. I'm with you.
I also think if I'm Brees, I'd like to have that at this stage of his career to be able to turn around and hand the ball off to Fournette would be awful.
Get him,
nice.
Big guy.
Okay, did the Yankees make the right or the wrong decision in firing Joe Girardi? Michael Kay will weigh in on that as we continue next, plus much more on this Football Friday. Back in a moment.